Hey guys, welcome to your daily December download. You guys ever think about just how words get created by communities and then they're used so much that they lose all meaning? A thing that sticks to me is movie game. Movie game is such a nothing term because when people say movie game, they just mean it has cutscenes, and a lot of them, and it's story focused. And now it's a movie game. But that doesn't really make much sense to me. Movie games are something like, I don't know, like Detroit Become Human or Heavy Rain. Those are movie games where, like, you know, the most interactive gameplay you're gonna have is a quick time event. But there's like this weird myth about Sony exclusives is that they're all movie games that all play the same, that have no gameplay, and they're all walking simulators, and the only reason you're impressed by them is because of the graphics and the story. And I was fed that lie for so long because I didn't have a PS4. So I was just being told by other people this of like, oh no bro, true gamers don't play the PlayStation exclusives. They're just movies. They're not real games. And then I, like, you know, did this crazy thing when I got my PS5. I actually started playing these PS4 exclusives, and they're video games. They're very much video games. I don't know where this myth comes from. Yeah, there's some walking sections or some sections where you're like holding forward and they're focusing on dialogue, but for the vast majority of the game, you're doing combat. Like, God of War's combat is a little bit more simplified than it was in the original God of War. Excuse me. But it's still really fun and snappy and satisfying, and it's still the core gameplay loop. The core gameplay loop is still you fighting enemies. Spider-Man has a completely different combat system than God of War, different buttons and everything. People call that a movie game when you spend most of your time swinging or doing combat, and now the swinging in Spider-Man 2 is even less cinematic than it was if you decided to be not so cinematic. So that gets wiped off of that game completely, you know, because you still have player choice in the combat and a bunch of other stuff. And then there's Ghost of Tsushima, which has the sauce of a movie. It has the sauce, but let's be so for real, the combat is still really fun. All these games, Horizon, I was told that game was like mid and a movie game, but like I played it, and most of the time I'm actually kind of like wandering around the open world fighting robot dinosaurs. Like, that's what I'm spending most of my time doing. I'm kind of wasting time doing that instead of progressing with the main plot. Last of Us gameplay is amazing in Last of Us. It's very solid. It is at like top tier game design full way through. So pray tell, what makes it a movie game? Yeah, like there might be some slowdown sections, like we're like, oh man, you kind of look at the graph. But if that doesn't take up a majority of the game, it's such a weird insult to throw at it when you can just be calling actual movie games, like a Telltale or Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain, like I was saying. Those are movie games where they're really just trying to tell a story and there isn't a lot of heavy gameplay. But all these Sony exclusive, Uncharted, Last of Us, God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, none of these games would be good if their gameplay was trash. And their gameplay is great. Like, they all feel good to play. I would say Horizon's probably like the weakest, but like Last of Us is crunchy as hell, especially with Last of Us Part 2. Getting that into the remake, it's even better than it was before. It's just such an insane concept that doesn't make any sense to me, just calling something a movie game even though it has gameplay. And the brain rot is so real that people who never played these games just believe it, like I did. Like, someone will post a clip of like, oh man, you know, I had this crazy combat. It's like people say, oh man, it's just This is a movie game. Look at all this crazy combos I'm doing in God of War Ragnarok. And they're like, actually, you're just pressing one button, which is so untrue. When the guy was weapon switching, he was doing different combos. He was doing pause combos. He was doing different special moves that it's like he was doing so much. And then people were just like, oh yeah, but you're just pressing one button. I remember getting an argument like over Horizon Forbidden West, where people, like, I watched it, I was like, damn, that looks like that is some cool gameplay. I can't wait to get to Forbidden West. Looks like an improvement over the first game. And then were people like, oh yeah, but it's all cutscenes though. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's like cutscene transitions when you change forms. Yeah, but that's about it. It's like, no, it's just all cutscenes. It's all cutscenes. It's all cutscenes. And it's such a weird cope to have, where you want a game to not have gameplay, or a game looks so good that you just assume the gameplay isn't real and it's just all cinematics. No, people are playing these games. The games have good gameplay. They're not arcadey, if that's what you're looking for. So yeah, no, they're not arcadey, twitchy platformers, but they are centered around their gameplay being fun. Are they linear? Yeah. Most of these games are linear, except for like, I think like Horizon and Spider-Man aren't super linear outside of their mission structure. But like, they're open world games. God of War is open zone-ish. It's an open area more than an open world. And Last of Us and Uncharted are extremely linear, but that's what they're good at. Also, again, another thing. I was told that all these fucking franchises were the exact same, when they all control like vastly differently and have different goals. Like, Uncharted and Last of Us are like so drastically differently that it's crazy. Spider-Man and God of War and Ghost of Tsushima have almost nothing in common. Horizon is Horizon. They all have their own distinct traits. Just because they're all third-person action adventure games, that doesn't mean that they all play the same. They're just in the same vague-ass genre, which is fine. I guess you could wish for them to have more varied genre lineup, which that's fair. But like, you know, people don't play those games. Like, unless it's Ratchet and Clank. It's like, people always go like, oh, Sony should do more crazy stuff. Every time they do, no one buys it. And you wonder why they don't do crazy stuff. It's like, oh, bring back your old franchises. They did. You guys didn't buy it. Remember Sly 4? I do. You don't. But, yeah, no. That's just me, like, halfway complaining. I needed to get this out because I got a Spanish final in about an hour and a half, and another thing I need to turn in before midnight. So, this is what I'm doing. All right, see ya.